बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम। वेलकम अगेन टू नोआ सक्सेस सीरीज 2020। कामयाबी का फल सिर्फ ख्वाहिश से नहीं मिलता, इसके लिए वक्त की शाख को हिलाना पड़ता है। अंधेरों को बुरा भला कहने की बजाय अपने हिस्से का दिया जलाना पड़ता है। CSS के मुकाबले के इम्तिहान की ख्वाहिश और वक्त की शाख को हिलाकर अपने हिस्से का दिया जलाकर कामयाबी हासिल करने वाले आज के नोआ स्टार राना मोहम्मद सोहेब खालिद हमारे साथ मौजूद हैं। सोहेब को रियासत ने सिफारतकारी की जिम्मेदारी सौंपी। आज उनके ख्वाबों की तकमील की कहानी लिए हम हाजिर हैं। अस्सलाम वालेकुम सोहेब।
वालेकुम अस्सलाम।
सोहेब, पहले तो आपको बहुत बहुत मुबारक हो।
बहुत शुक्रिया।
आपकी ये लोकेशन फॉरेन सर्विसेज ऑफ पाकिस्तान में हुई है।
अल्हम्दुलिल्लाह।
मैं ये बताती चलूँ कि राना मोहम्मद सोहेब खालिद का ताल्लुक मुल्तान से है और इनकी लोकेशन फॉरेन सर्विस ऑफ पाकिस्तान में हुई है। ही स्टूड 22nd ऑल ओवर पाकिस्तान। तो सोहेब, आपकी ये जो जर्नी है CSS की, इट्स अ वेरी लॉन्ग जर्नी। तो आप इस पूरी लॉन्ग जो जर्नी है, हाउ वुड यू वांट टू लाइक सम इट अप in this like long process, like from 2018 to 2020? How would you sum it up?
Right. So this is my third attempt, as ma'am may or may not have mentioned. And in the first two attempts, I could not clear the essay exam. And clearing it this time and actually getting into the Foreign Service of Pakistan is indeed a dream come true. And alhamdulillah, it has been a very rewarding journey, nonetheless very tiring and demanding, as ma'am rightly pointed out. But I think no good thing comes to you easily, and I would say the same thing for CSS. At least in my case, I have had to overcome some troubles and some difficult times, but now we are here, and all is well that ends well, so that's great then.
Yeah. So Sohaib, you had foreign service at which preference number?
Right. So personally, foreign service was my first preference. Okay. I believe that the chance to represent your country is one of the highest honors one can hope for. And I was lucky enough to actually make it here and get this tremendous opportunity to be a representative of my country, this great country. Secondly, I have had the chance to live abroad for a few years as well. And I have realized that I am quite comfortable in new situations and dealing with people from different backgrounds, ethnicities and religions even. So that is why I chose the foreign services, and luckily by the grace of Allah I have made it this time.
MashaAllah. Sohaib, in CSS preparation, the first phase is of the written examination.
Right.
So we'll start the questions from the written preparation. So starting from essay. Right. Which has been the toughest paper. So what different did you do in your this attempt that you cleared English essay?
Right. So as ma'am rightly said, at least for me, essay has been the toughest by far. So in the first attempt, I had 35 marks. In the second one, it was about 27, and now I was managed to secure 45 marks. So it has been an up and down journey. I believe that practice makes perfect. Moreover, getting the right guidance and having a teacher or a mentor who can point out your mistakes is also extremely critical. Someone who knows what you're doing wrong and then give this feedback to you, that can be invaluable. And with the right guidance and of course practice, one can do well in this exam just like any other exam in the world.
So Sohaib, did you like write a lot of essays in order to ace this exam, or were you like ये थोड़ा किया था इसलिए मसला हुआ था?
Right. I won't say I didn't practice enough, but it wasn't like I was writing an essay every day or something like that. So it depends on you really. I was fortunate enough to know early on in this attempt that what were my major mistakes, and I was able to work on them as well. So for this attempt, I did not write a lot, but whatever I was writing it well. Another thing that you should do when you're writing is that you should time yourself for the exam. It should not be like you're writing at home for 4 hours or 5 hours. It should be exam timings. That is the only way you can tell yourself, or you can judge yourself how well or how badly you're doing. So I think these small adjustments really made a difference for me personally.
So Sohaib, did you like get your essays checked as well from someone?
Right. So I had a teacher who was giving me proper feedback, and he was giving me the guidance that I needed, and that was a very big part of the helping process for me personally.
तो सोहेब, एक तो हो गया इंग्लिश एसे, उसके बाद आता है इंग्लिश प्रेसी एंड कॉम्पोजिशन का पेपर. सो डिड यू राइट अ लॉट ऑफ प्रेसीज, और डिड यू अटेम्प्ट प्रेसीज फ्रॉम द पास्ट पेपर्स? डिड यू गेट देम चेक्ड, एंड व्हाट वाज योर बेसिक स्ट्रैटेजी ऑफ क्लियरिंग प्रेसी, बिकॉज यू हैव secured 82 marks in presi?
Right. So the Pressy paper, again, language is a skill like any other, and the more you practice it, the better you get at it. So like writing essays, writing Pressy is also a skill that you develop over time. No one is perfect at it from the beginning. So again, for the Pressy, I had a teacher who would guide me and who would point out my mistakes, but thankfully I did not have so much trouble with the Pressy paper as compared to the essay paper. Again, another thing is important for the Pressy, that is your vocabulary. If you have good vocabulary and you have a good understanding of the English language, that can be an invaluable asset, not just for the English papers, but also for all the other subjects that you will be encountering in this journey for you. So I would suggest that practice again, and working on your vocabulary is very, very critical for the Pressy. It will help you not just in this paper, but in the rest of the 10 papers as well.
Rightly said. Coming to current affairs is one subject which is very vast.
Right.
Like you have to keep yourself updated with the current scenarios, current situations all around the world.
Right.
And even of the situations that are happening in January, because you have to take exam in February.
Indeed.
So you have to be very updated.
Right.
So what did you do for the current affairs? Like which resources did you consult? Which techniques did you opt?
Right.
Anything.
Right. So going through the daily newspaper is critical for every civil service aspirant, whether it's January or it's December or whatever month the exam may be. You have to be updated with the current affairs as well as the developments and happenings that are taking place all over the world at every moment that we see. Especially for my subjects as well, I had international relations and US history as my optionals. So getting up to date with the current affairs was critical. I was going through the newspaper daily, and I think that was my chief resource in this regard. Other than that, I would go through the online resources like Foreign Policy Magazine and other such internationally renowned journalistic publications. These helped me in covering the international relations as well as the current affair topics. Again, it's up to you how you feel comfortable and what you want to do, but newspaper is something that I have heard every aspirant practice and go through as well.
So apart from like going through every resource, did you also make a timetable, or were you going randomly over one subject, then to the next, then to the next?
Right. So I would pick one subject at a time. I would have a specific timetable as to in how many days or in how much duration I have to cover this. I believe that a timetable is very important for any aspirant, and not just for this civil services, but in other aspects of our life as well. If we cannot follow a timetable, things get piled up very quickly, and you have too much to do at the end of the day. Therefore, making a timetable, a viable timetable, and then sticking to it are two very important things. I used to study from anywhere from 6 to 8 hours a day, 6 days a week, and sticking to this timetable really helped me in covering all the subjects that I had, as well as other things that were going alongside as well. So having a timetable is very important. It doesn't matter if you study at day or at night or whatever hour that suits you. That's a personal choice or personal perspective. But having a timetable is very important, and I recommend every aspirant to make a timetable and stick to it.
So if we talk about international relations, because generally there's a perspective that international relations gets targeted every other year.
Right.
So you scored around like 130?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
130 marks in international relations.
Right.
So what did you do for international relations that you were able to get better score than the rest of the candidates?
Right. So I think every candidate goes through this, I would say, rumors that a subject is getting targeted or another subject is getting targeted. I have had the same subjects for the 3 years that I have appeared in the civil services, and I would say that my scores have gone up and down depending on my preparation rather than some other things. So I don't really consider this targeting thing as well. For example, when I scored low marks in IR, other students got very good marks as well. So I don't really agree to this theory. Secondly, as ma'am said, that international relations is a rather tricky subject, but for me it was very interesting. As I said, foreign service was my goal, and for that international relations is extremely critical. So it was a good time for me to study this, and I had good resources and good books to consult, and that is why I was able to do well this time as well in particular.
So apart from international relations, you had US history as well.
Right.
So US history is generally considered as one of the smallest history subjects in CSS, right?
Right.
And it's easier to prepare as well.
Right.
But generally we have seen that in 2018,
Right.
US history was, let's just not use the word targeted, but US history was a low scoring subject.
Indeed.
Right?
Indeed.
A lot of people cleared essay PSP, but they could not clear US history.
Right.
So you have kept US history, even having US history in 2018's attempt.
Right.
2019, and then you again opted for US history.
Right.
Why?
Right. So you have mentioned that its syllabus is quite short. Yeah. I don't think I really agree with you that. It's quite extensive if you really go through it properly. So that's the first thing. Secondly, I was prepared well enough for the 2018 attempt, but you can use the word slaughtered there. That US history was a tough subject to clear that year. But in general, I think the United States is one of the biggest players in the world. It has been for a long time, and for the foreseeable future, it's there. Yeah. So learning about that country is going to give you a good perspective on how the world works right now and where it's going in the future. So that was my main motivation to start with the US history. It was a very enlightening experience, and I just liked it and stuck with it. And as far as the scoring trends go, well, things are out of your control, right? And if you can't control the scoring trend, you can't control these things. All you can do is focus on your preparation and do that as well as you can. And that has always been my motto. So I really didn't pay much attention to these trends, and I tried to get better and better at it. And Alhamdulillah, this year I have done well.
So apart from IR and US history, which other subjects did you go for?
Right. So I had gender studies, sociology, and criminology. So again, these were subjects that are supposedly easy to do, or they are high scoring, but I don't really think that's the case this year at least. But I think the optional subjects really comes down to you and to your personal choice and preference and what you want to do and what you're comfortable with. I am an engineer from the background, but I believe that engineering subjects can be quite tricky to opt in the civil services, and that's why I opted for social sciences. It's just about your own comfort level and your own personal aptitude and interest as well. So I had interest in IR and US history and all the other subjects that I took, and that is the key reason that I scored good marks in all my attempts, irrespective of the SS score. So again, just take what you are comfortable with. Every person is different, so you don't have to follow anyone, or you just choose a subject that you think you can do well in, and then have belief in yourself and belief in Allah, and then then things will take care of themselves.
Yes. So Sohaib, if we talk about gender studies, so gender studies is sort of a fluctuating subject in a way that in 1 year a lot of students are getting like very good score in it, and the next year the same students are not getting very good score at it. You have been through this, I guess, as well.
Right.
So what do you think, like what was your strategy of preparing gender studies, and what sources did you consult?
Right. So I had good reference books that are available in the market, but more importantly, you should know that how to prepare a subject by yourself. This is the age of the internet. You have unlimited amount of knowledge at your fingertips. It's about you and how you pick and choose from this plethora of knowledge that you find all around you. And then having the concepts clear is very important. There are some tricky concepts in subjects like gender studies or criminology or even sociology. Once you clear those concepts, things get easier, and then that is the key to getting good scores, because scoring trends also vary by difficulty in the paper setting, and of course difficulty is a relative term as well. So some might find a paper easy, other might find a paper difficult, but I believe it all again comes down to your preparation and how you have actually done for yourself. So for gender studies and for other subjects, I would suggest that you go through the books that are available in the market, or you have notes from some teacher that you may or may not have, but also consult the internet. There are plenty of resources topic wise that you can go through systematically, and you can do this on your own. Getting the right idea about the knowledge and the theory of such complicated subjects is very important, and if you can get through to those concepts, then it becomes much easier for you.
Yeah, right. So Sohaib, did you used to write a lot as well? Like, did you make your own notes, or did you just read the books, like write on the books, or did you make your own notes, the bullet points notes? Like, what was your core strategy of doing the CSS?
Right. So again, this varies from aspirant to aspirant, and Different people will tell you different things. Again, it comes down to you. For me personally, I used to make bullet points of what were important aspects of a particular topic, and from there I would do one practice paper from one past paper before the exams when I could find the time for that paper, just to get into the flow of that subject and to be able to write well on that subject. Again, different people have different strategies. My colleagues have never wrote a single word before the exams and then they have done well as well. It depends on you. Again, if it's about finding the technique or the study system that's suitable for you and that works best for you, and I believe that that is a key part for the success of any aspirant.
Yeah, rightly. I totally agree with this, because a lot of students have different strategies, right? So in CSS, since it's a very long journey and you have cleared in your third attempt, so there's a lot of internal motivation required as well.
Right.
There might be a lot of people outside who are supporting you and who have been supportive of you throughout the journey, but the motivation has to come from inside to study over and over again.
Right.
So what is one thing you think that is crucial for CSS? इसके बगैर CSS नहीं हो सकता.
In my opinion, that one word has to be self-belief. You will have doubters and people who will not believe in you and people who will demotivate you. Results, failing twice is not an easy thing to go through. It's quite demoralizing, but having self-belief is the single most critical criteria in my opinion. If you think you can do this, then there is no power on earth that can stop you from doing this. You have to believe in yourself and you have to believe in your abilities to come through any adversity, be it the civil services exam or any other aspect of your life that you may or may not be going through. Therefore, I think self-belief is the crucial element. And I know there are, as you have rightly mentioned, ma'am, there are some troubling days when all seems bleak and dark, but that is where your belief in yourself and then belief in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala comes as well. You have to know that something is written for you and your job is just to work hard and then don't worry about the results. And if you think you're good enough, don't let anyone else tell you any different. And external support system is also very important, as ma'am has rightly mentioned. I am tremendously lucky to have a family that is very supportive and very encouraging, even in the toughest of times. And as my fellow aspirants and my fellow colleagues would agree that the family support makes a huge difference. Having a family that has been with you through the thick and thin really helps you at the end of the day, and also it is a big morale booster and it gives you courage to take on the new challenges. So I'm very lucky in this regard, but you have to believe in yourself as well. Others can do only so much for you. It all comes down to you at the end of the day. If you have got what it takes, then there is nothing you cannot achieve.
So Sohaib, this motivation of CSS, like where did it come from? Is there someone in your family who is already a CSP, or did you just want to do something different?
Right. So there is no CSP in my family. I am the first civil servant from my family. There are plenty of doctors and engineers, but this motivation really came from my work experience. I was working for a multinational company after my degree in bachelor's, but I realized that there was a job satisfaction aspect that was missing there. And after much deliberation and thought, I realized that the civil services is the way to go. And that was my main motivation to actually switch from a professional background to this. And Alhamdulillah, after long struggle, I have made it here.
So Sohaib, you have a background of engineering.
Right.
So you switched it to civil service, which is a totally different background.
Right.
And nowadays there is a hype on the media as well, and hype among the aspirants that a lot of people who get cleared and a lot of people who get allocated in CSS, they are from the engineering background.
Right.
So why did you leave engineering and start this journey?
Right. Okay. So engineering as a background for civil services is quite relevant, at least in my opinion. I have been used to working 12 hours a day, 6 days a week, long before the civil services journey started. Engineering degree is not easy. I'm a NUS graduate, and competing with the best minds in this country on a day-in, day-out basis really prepares you well to take on difficult challenges like the civil services. So, at least to me, professional degrees are very much relevant to pursuing a civil services in later on in your career. It has helped me in broadening my perspective. I have an analytical thought process, and it has really cleared up the thinking process for me. So I am very thankful for the knowledge that I received during my time in engineering. I also worked as a professional engineer, so it's not just that I switched from a bachelor's degree and straight into the civil services. I worked for a year for 2 different companies actually, and I don't think that an engineering job is so bad, but it's not the same as the civil services. This has the prestige and the chance to actually serve your country, and as I've said, that the chance to represent your country, particularly in the foreign services, is something that had been very alluring to me, and that is why I actually made the switch when I did.
So apart from family, there might be some friends of yours who have supported you throughout the journey, who have been like backing you, like कर लोगे इतना मसला नहीं है, हो जाएगा, हो जाता है लोगों का. Or there might be some peers or mentors who have supported you.
Right.
So did you have those people who were like bringing positive energy in your life?
Yes, and again, I would say that I'm very lucky in this regard as well. My family, as I've mentioned, I have very good friends, very sincere ones who have not demotivated me in this regard. And then I am also very lucky to have a life partner who has helped me a lot, and she was my main support for the last attempt as well, along with my parents. So friends and family really do make a difference, and I can only thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the people that I have helping me in this regard. And my brother, my sister, we have had very good discussions on these things, and from economic standpoint, from emotional standpoint, and even academically, the support of the people around you is critical. And again, there is no success without those people to have with you. So I'm, again, as ma'am has said, that having that support system is very important, and it's at least for me, it has been a big part of my journey.
Exactly. So Sohaib, what was your revision strategy? Like you might have gone through the syllabus, then you might have allotted some months for the revision. So how did you use to do your revision?
Right. So you go through the subjects as many times as you can. Divide the time equally. Every subject has equal weightage, so it doesn't matter if you spend twice the time on IR1 as compared to IR2. Every subject has equal number of marks. Yeah. So for the revision, I would start from January, and I would have 3 days each per subject. So, and from there, I would have 1 day off, which was quite, even that wasn't very relaxing, but still I had 1 day off in between. So 3 days per subject for then, and then in February, it depends on the timetable. Sometimes you have 1 day, sometimes you have 2 days, but take every subject equally. Maybe you may feel uncomfortable in a subject and more comfortable in another one, but every subject at the end of the day has equal marks. So in my opinion, you should give equal time to revision of each subject, and that's very important in my opinion.
Yeah. So Sohaib, normally in the CSS journey, there are a lot of incidents that happen, and a lot of incidents, they just stick to our mind कि ये बहुत interesting incident हुआ था, or whenever you just recall those things कि हमारी तैयारी में ये भी हुआ है, ये भी हुआ है, ये भी हुआ है. So if you want to share any of the interesting incidents that have happened.
Right. Well, I won't call failing twice interesting, but yeah, the days that break you are eventually the days that make you. So having gone through the disappointment twice, I have found an inner strength and a determination to actually move forward towards my goal. I believe that such tough days are really defining for you, and if you can come through this adversity, and for me it was the civil services, for someone it could be a loss of a loved one or some other economic trouble or any such issues, but coming through those days when the result is announced and your name is not on that list, and then finally to this moment when your name is on the list twice, that has been very interesting and very rewarding journey, I would say. Not an easy one, and certainly there were some troubling days, but alhamdulillah, I would say that these moments really are going to stick with me for the rest of the times.
Inshallah. So Sohaib, any message that you want to give to the aspirants and the viewers, because a lot of our viewers are the CSS aspirants. So any message you want to give them, anything that you have learned through your own journey that you want to tell to the younger generation?
Right. For most of us, having a teacher is very important. whether it's the civil services or any professional exam or any other qualification or any other aspect of life that you're going through, having a good teacher is very critical. So find someone who you can trust, who can guide you well. Having a good mentor is very important, especially for the civil services. It gives you a very nice direction, and the teacher can give you pointers about what you're doing wrong, and that can help you. Secondly, as I've said, make a timetable, and then more importantly, stick to that timetable. We are all very fond of making timetables and then doing whatever we want, but sticking to the timetable is crucial. And thirdly, believe in yourself. If you think you can do this, then you can do this. There will be doubts, there will be days that are disappointing, but if you have that self-belief, you can go through any challenge, not just the civil services exam.
Thank you so much, Sohaib. You have taken time out and you have actually guided the students very well. बहुत शुक्रिया आपका, और आपको फिर से बहुत बहुत मुबारक हो, और हमारी दुआ है कि अल्लाह ताला आपको सिफारतकारी के असूलों का, बेहतरीन असूलों का अमीन बनाए.
Thank you, ma'am.
बहुत शुक्रिया. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, thank you so much, everyone. We had Rana Mohammed Sohaib Khalid, who got allocated in Foreign Service of Pakistan in CSS 2020. We'll come back with more episodes of the success story of CSS 2020. Thank you. Allah Hafiz.